We can learn a lot from people that do some of the most unspeakable things, that do the most evil, just crazy, chaotic, dark, demonic stuff, right? We're living in a day and time where people are not safe going in just businesses that they frequent, right? People aren't safe if they're going to the grocery store. People aren't safe if they're going to the movies, if they're going to the hospital, if they're going to church, if they're going to a gym. So if there is news reports that are saying that there was an individual who was shot and killed because he had an altercation prior to his demise, he had an altercation with an individual who was actually a member of that gym, and the individual actually left outside of the gym, came back in with a weapon and took his life. What can we learn from this? What does that mean? What is that telling us? That we live in a day and time where there are individuals that are not in their right state of mind. They're on something, because 9 times out of 10, when you're dealing with a person who is sober, there is a high probability that if you have a disagreement or an altercation with them, it can be de-escalated and the issue can be resolved without violence. But we're living in a day and time where there are people who are under the influence of something the majority of the time. So there is the crime rate is higher, and these instances of all of this chaos and all of this madness and all of this craziness and all of this demonic, unspeakable, just random evil incidents happening, where people aren't actually using their mind and they're not thinking, they're just doing something off of impulse, not being able to control themselves, not being able to control their emotions. What is that telling us? What does these situations tell us? We have a bunch of adults walking around with unregulated emotions. We have a bunch of unhealed adults who are dealing with their traumas, who have not addressed their traumas and refuse to address their traumas. Right? And on top of that, they're self-medicating. So they are always under the influence of something. They're numbing themselves and they're not feeling anything. So it doesn't take anything for the adult to get mad, throw a temper tantrum, leave outside of a gym, get a weapon, go back in the gym and confront or address the individual that pissed him off and make him a casualty. And to lay him down in his own bodily fluids, like it's hunting season in a wintertime in the mountains, right? Oh yeah. And it's happening so frequently, it's not something that is just random or something that, that's uncommon. This happens all the time. So what can we learn from these events, these demonic, evil, violent events around the world and in the major cities? First and foremost, people really need to use their common sense and remember that it would be a wise thing and a compassionate thing to keep in mind that there is a lot of people in this world that are going through things. There's a lot of people going through things, unspeakable things that folks are not talking about. And also that it does not cost you anything to be respectful to somebody. If you walk into someone's business, if you frequent someone's business, to be respectful to them and, talk like you have some sense, right? It does not take anything from your health. It does not cost you anything to be kind. Not saying that you have to kiss someone's ass or that you have to be nice, but being kind and just having common courtesy. Common courtesy is not common anymore, right? And there's a bunch of unhealed adults, once again, with unregulated emotions and walking around in their anger and letting their emotions get the best of them, especially their anger and becoming irate, and then using their tools, specifically their weapons, as a means of getting their anger out. And it's happening so commonly, so frequently. Having common courtesy when you approach someone, or if you enter a business and it's the AM, saying good morning to someone, and somebody saying good morning to you and you speaking back, does not take anything from you. And what people forget and what they have let fall by the wayside is basic human interaction. Speaking to your neighbor, speaking to your fellow human. And it's just a short, basic, small interaction, and it could be so quick, but it develops if you smile at somebody, or if you speak or whatever, and just that quick energy exchange. It's something as small as that can give a small level of trust. And just that small level of trust can take you a long way during the duration of time that you are in these businesses, that you frequent these businesses. And it's unfortunate that we have to look at it like this, but this is the day and time that we live in, such unprecedented times. You don't know when somebody's going to lose their shit in one of these places that you frequent, because as I said again, we have seen, because of these occurrences that has happened, people have been made casualties in movie theaters, hospitals, churches, Walmarts, grocery stores, now a gym, amusement parks, you name it, everywhere. So people are losing their shit everywhere. What does that tell us? Obviously, humanity has a big problem, and addiction and substance abuse is one of the main problems. So because we can agree that there is a large number of individuals in this country and in the world that has some type of substance abuse issue, which means that 9 times out of 10, they're not functioning in their right mind. Let this serve as a reminder to everybody, anybody who actually cares to listen, and anybody who would take heed to the message, and for those that are actually paying attention to what's going on around them and in these major cities. People really need to get back to the basics of common courtesy, showing respect, and just being kind, right? There are different ways for us to, show people that we're not to be disrespected and that we deserve respect, and there's a certain way of going about things. But there are a lot of individuals that are walking around with serious mental health issues, and then coupled with mental health issues coupled with substance abuse issues is a recipe for a disaster. So may everybody stay vigilant, stay aware, keep your head on a swivel, have situational awareness. And just remember that when you're in contact with other people, when you frequent certain businesses, and when you just have a short, basic conversation with somebody, having small talk, or even greeting someone, you can offer them comfort or a small level of trust. Because a lot of people have a lot of, probably a lot of angst too. And then once again, unresolved trauma, unhealed trauma, and anger, uncertainty, and just all of these different things that we can assume that, people are dealing with. No one in their right mind is going to get that freaking mad at somebody in a business to leave, which means that he premeditated it, to leave and then to go back in the business and to make someone a casualty. Nobody in their right mind is going to do something like that. So, may you stay aware.